Good morning, Vital Men. It's good to be with you again on your Monday morning and always in the beginning of your work week. We've been talking about a series about living a life of victory. And a lot of times in life it seems overwhelming, and sometimes the odds of the things that are in the circumstances in front of our lives make us feel defeated before we even go out to the field of battle sometimes. David had those same things, and as he was getting ready to fight Goliath, we've been on that story of David and Goliath, and it's just an epic story about how David overcomes the great giant, the Philistine. But one of the things that's important as we look at David, we also see other men in his life at this battlefront. And these men, they're actually paralyzed in the midst of their fear. We see his brothers are there. They're hiding behind the rocks. It says in the Bible that they were warriors, but they're hiding because of the Philistine giant. And also, too, we see King Saul himself. He had seen many, many victories. And I want to show you something in God's Word this morning. In 1 Samuel chapter 14, verse 47, it says this: "Now when Saul had secured his grasp on Israel's throne, he fought against his enemies in every direction, against Moab, Ammon, Edom, and the kings of Zobah, and the Philistines. And wherever he turned, he was victorious." See, we see a different Saul here now. He is trusting God. He's believing and going out by faith. God has now made him the first king over Israel, and he has found favor with the Lord. But I want to show you something that's different. What happened is now we see King Saul being afraid. He's going against the Philistines, and he sees that there's no way they could win. He is now living a life, instead of believing in what is impossible, he's actually believing this is impossible. There was only one man, young boy, on the field that day that believed in something different, and we'll see this. See, Goliath would always come out and taunt Israel and go up against them, and we see the same thing that happens between him and David. But this is David's response when he faces the giant. He says this: "Today the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut off your head. And then I will give the dead bodies of your men to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know there is a God in all of Israel." See, King David, at the time, he was anointed as king, but not king yet. He was still a young boy. But he believed in the impossible. Now, here's the application for us today. What is it today that seems that you're wanting to believe that seems absolutely impossible? Maybe today you're struggling in a marriage. It seems absolutely impossible that anything could change. But can you believe? The other thing too is maybe financially. Maybe you are in a struggle. Without a doubt, we live in tough times right now in economics, and the dollar just doesn't seem to go long enough at the end of the day. Are you believing for the impossible? Maybe you're wanting to take this step of faith. Maybe the Lord has put upon your heart. Maybe you want to start a new business. Maybe you're just wanting to go into ministry. Maybe there's so many different things that the Lord is asking you to step out by faith. Do you believe for what seems impossible? In my life, I've had multiple times I have to go back and I have to reflect. And I think that's where King Saul had made his mistake. He could go back and reflect how God had helped him through those days, so he would help him through this days. And as men, we do the same thing. I've shared with you multiple times that I'm on a small farm and believing for the impossible. And there's other pieces of property that's around us, and as you become and you buy land, it seems like you always want more. But what I'm believing in today is believing for the impossible. I'm believing that God can use me right where I'm at, in the midst of whether I'm doing farming, whether I'm in construction, or whatever it is in my life. I want to reflect back of how he's helped me be victorious and has given favor in my life. That even as I grow older in the senior years of my life, that I will continue to believe for the impossible, for the favor of the Lord. Men, what are you believing on this Monday? Are you believing in the impossible, or are you allowing the enemy to kill, steal, and destroy the dreams that God has for you? Want to live a life of victory? Believe for the impossible. Vital Men, it's good to be with you, and we will see you next week.